Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are so
Hello.
excited to be here with all of you. We are going to have so much fun with Hackergal this today. We're going to be talking about getting girls and gender diverse learners coding. It's going to be so much fun, and we're going to learn so much from Zara here. And we're just going to hopefully have like a really great conversation and learning time together. Make sure you find the chat because I'm going to be putting in links to the chat, and it's also the place where you can connect with us. Ask us your questions, share where you're from. If you're joining us live, we would love to know who's here with us, and we are going to guide you through this session over the next chunk of time together. So we're excited. Let's dive on in, and I'm going to start by getting a link in the chat for all of you, just to kind of have these resources. I want to make sure that everybody has what they need to get started. So I went ahead and popped that in the chat for you. So feel free to grab that if you need it. But we're going to dive in and we're going to start with some introductions.
So, welcome everybody. This is Let's Get Girls and Gender Diverse Learners Coding with Hackergal. So, I am Zara, and I am a Logics Academy facilitator that is in Richmond Hill, Ontario, on Settlers Land Treaty 13. And Katie,
My name's Katie Eklund, and I am an educator, but also right today I'm a Logics Academy facilitator. I live down in the United States, and I'm presenting in Big Fork, Montana, on the land of the Salish people. And I'm just excited to be here with all of you and to have some great conversations and learning around the amazing things that HackerGal is bringing to us.
there is a lot. Before we get into Hacker Gal, we just want to make sure that we're ensuring we are acknowledging the land that we are on. If you're not sure, as Katie and I both mentioned that, but you can also visit nativeland.ca, which will let you know which treaty area you are on, just in case you're unsure. Today, we are here as a part of Getting Cozy with Coding, and it is part of Logic's Academy that is bringing proudly to you different options from Hackergal, Your Voice is Power, Codingville.ca, Digital Moment, and First Canada. And none of this would be possible without the generous funding from Can Code. We are on YouTube, which is great because that means at any time you can pause, rewind, and replay as needed. Our plan today. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into who is Hackergal. Then, we're going to talk a little bit about girls, gender diverse learners, and coding. And then, we're going to go into Hackergal courses and lessons that are available for facilitators. Then, talk about the Hackergal Hackathon and next steps to get you going. Who is Hackergal? So you might be asking, who is Hackergal? What is Hackergal? So Hackergal is a Canadian charity. They are on a mission to close the gender gap in tech by introducing girls and gender diverse learners to free, that's right, free coding and digital skills programming. Since 2015, Hackergal has impacted at least 29,000 learners and 2,000 facilitators. And I know because I'm one of those facilitators that has done the program. So it's great.
I love that it's free. I mean, I don't think we can emphasize that enough, free access. And we're going to go through a lot of things today, but we're also going to highlight a way that you can get access not only to this amazing program, but extra support from amazing facilitators like Zara. So we're going to kind of highlight that as we go through today as well.
There are four pillars to the Hackergal program. So we are going to go through a couple of those today, and then two of them for a bit later, or for a bit later on once you're a bit more experienced. But what those pillars are is there's the Hackergal Hackathon and Coding Program Clubs. There's the Hackergal Hub, the Ambassador Program, and the Annual Scholarship Program. So The hackathon program and coding club gives you resources and free curriculum to help you build a coding club, participate in the Hackergal hackathon. The hub is an online platform that includes dashboards for both the facilitators and the learners. And it has a lot of different tools in there that'll help support girls and gender diverse learners, leading them on their coding journey, which is great. That ambassador program is something that comes as you're getting into grade 9 and 12. The students, it's designed so that they girls and gender diverse learners can use digital skills training, networking and mentorship, leadership development to gain scholarship opportunities. And then the last one is the annual scholarship program, which is designed to support girls and gender diverse learners as they pursue further education in STEAM fields, which is so needed right now. That actually leads us into this next section, girls and gender diverse learners and coding. Why is it important? So it is important for girls and gender diverse learners to engage in coding education because they're going to develop these essential skills that they really need. The Hackergal Hackathon program helps to build confidence by encouraging problem solving, critical thinking, innovation, and it's all in a safe space with peers. And it leads to kind of a boost of empowerment and a sense of belonging that comes from being part of this national movement and that community, which is such a great feeling.
That is amazing. That's really a great way to not only connect your students to each other, but again, like you were just saying, to like a nationwide connection of girls and gender diverse learners that are all engaged in this program. That's a really so empowering for them to think like, hey, it's not just us in this room, it's a whole giant group of us connecting and working on things at a similar level with similar goals.
Yeah. That's what makes it like amazing. And then this helps us when we get into talking about closing the gender gap in tech because we see that there's a noticeable underrepresentation of women in technology industries. If we can engage girls and gender diverse learners in coding education while they're younger, that provides them with those skills that's going to help them to get more equitable access to careers in tech, which I think is really needed to help prepare them, right? This
Absolutely.
prepares,
Absolutely.
yeah, and this prepares us for future career opportunities because there is really a high demand right now for tech and coding skills, and that's not going to go away. So if we're helping to open up those pathways for our girls and gender diverse learners to a range of different careers, including software development. We have web design, data science, cybersecurity, and that's just a few of them. If we can get them to explore those, we're already helping with those future opportunities. The last part that I think is really important, well, not the last, I think it's just as equally important, it's just the last one on my list, is that we foster that innovation. And this is where working together in a club comes in because we really need our girls and gender diverse learners to learn together, work together. And then also, when we get there, we are including them in tech, and this brings diversity to the table when we're innovating and developing different technologies. How about that gender gap in tech? This is really important because we want to encourage more women, more gender diverse individuals into STEM fields because that is critical for us to improve gender diversity in tech. Let's look at some of those statistics that are up on that screen. We have 35% of STEM students globally identify as women. Representation is increasing, but it's still uneven. This is why it's important to have that exposure at an early age to coding and digital skills before course selection in high school. That way there is
Absolutely.
a mind. Yeah.
But yeah,
This
we need to
way,
see those numbers continue to rise. And if students are exposed at a younger age, then they're going to go into those later years of education and even into their careers with the mindset that they are already exposed to those things, they're familiar with them, they're more likely to choose them.
yeah, it's all about getting that exposure and building that confidence. The fact that only 19% of computer science graduates are women, that's very low. There has been efforts to close that gap. Still, not really significant results if it's only 19%.
Right.
We want to work at building that up higher.
Hmm.
Then we also have some information on what girls pursue. Girls and gender diverse learners are 2 times less likely to pursue STEM careers. This is really important. We really want that early intervention so that it's really important to help sustain their interest. And the best way to do that is to build confidence. It,
Absolutely.
so now that we've kind of discussed why coding and why it's so important for girls and gender diverse learners to learn coding education, let's look at the Hackergal lessons and courses.
Before you dive into that, because I know you're diving
Yeah,
into the Hacker Girl Hub, I just had a quick question.
yeah.
I'm going to put the link to the Hacker Girl Hub in the chat, but I noticed there's a login. So can you just give us a quick brief, like, since there's a login, how do we get access or how does that work?
So for Hackergal to log into their hub, you would submit and create an account, and then there would be a little bit of a delay because they do actually have one. They have someone there that is approving accounts manually. It's not done through a computer. It's done by a person because they really like to connect with each educator that is signing up for an account and meet with them one on one to discuss the Hackergal program and how it can help to meet your needs. So that's how we get into registering for that. But don't worry about registering for it right now. When we get to our form to sign up to have with the Logix form, what's going to happen is we will meet with you and we can help you get started on that. So don't worry about
Awesome.
logging in because we're there to help with that just to make it easier.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I just wanted to make sure because I know that you have to get in, and someone watching this may be trying to get in and wondering why. So we're going to
Yes,
hang out and kind of see your demo, but know that we can sign up for that extra support at the end. So I love that. Thank you.
no problem. So this is what it looks like in the Hackergal Hub, and we will head there shortly so you can see it in real time. But I just want to highlight these courses that are available. There's a variety of courses available in the hub, but there's 3 courses that are highlighted in kind of a reddish box around them. Those are the main courses that are available there in the hub for coding clubs because all of these are multi-lesson courses. This helps learners to work through different lessons to learn about those different areas. We have the introduction to Scratch, the adventure style game design, and then the introduction to web development. So, depending on the level of entry, it is really important to make a note if you are interested that when we're doing these, learners do need to complete one of these courses so that they can participate in the hackathon, right?
Oh,
So,
that's
these
really good to
can
know.
Yeah, so they do need to have the time to work through a course before the hackathon so they're prepared. We want to make sure they're prepared for that. And these can be anything from 4 lessons to 8 lessons, depending on which one you go into. But also remember, you can do this as a club where you get a large group together and put it up on the screen and work through it together. Or you can also give the students access to the hub individually to work through it as self directed learning. So it depends on the learners you have and how you want to or need to structure it, right? It's really easy. The other
That's
thing
nice.
is you'll notice that lessons are typically about an hour each. So that's about the amount of time that most clubs meet. Sometimes you might say, oh, I don't have that hour, but just remember that's just a suggestion. It's dependent on what your time is. So we do have a question I see in the chat about what is
Yes.
the age group for Hackergal. So Hackergal is for grades 6 to 9 to participate. So that's in the Hackergal Coding Club and Hackathon program. And then as they continue on, then they can get into the ambassador program and then further on. So it does
Wonderful.
start at grade 6.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you, Maggie, for hopping in and asking a question. That's awesome. That's always important to know kind of the age ranges as they
Yeah.
progress through the program. So awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So we're going to go in and see what this course would look like when we click on it. So when I go in, this is an outline of the course. So you'll see the introduction to Scratch, 4 lessons, really quick, not as long, but you'll notice that the timing on the lessons is different. So the first lesson, the suggested timing is 1.5 hours. And then the second, third, and fourth are 1 hour. But again, those are just suggestions and you can adjust it as needed. There's also multiple levels in there in the course that you can use how you prefer. So now let's go into the hub and see what we're doing in there. I'm going to switch over.
There we
Should be able
go.
to see the hub now. There we
Mhm.
go. So once we're into the Hackergal hub, you'll see again, we have our different courses. And let's go into the introduction to Scratch to see what it looks like in there. So I go in, and this is what I get to see as the facilitator. So I would see I have my introduction, which is an overview. I have my 4 lessons. I have a quiz at the end, which is to consolidate that learning. And then there's also the submit your project section where the project that the students have worked on throughout these 4 lessons, they can submit that at the end to show what they've learned. So it's different ways to look at how they're learning the coding program. So let's go into lesson 1 to see what it looks like inside of a lesson. So this one is getting started with Scratch. So we have our overview here that tells us which of the competencies we're looking at. So here we're looking at creativity and a growth mindset. To get to the lesson, we're going to click on exploring code. So I come down and you can see that my lesson is here in a video. This is the great part about the Hackergal lessons. They have different components, but the main part is a video that your students can follow along with, and they can go at their own pace if needed. So you could project it, have everyone go together, or just have them follow along on their own, which gives them a bit of independence. When we go into this program, let's take a look. The first one, we start off with our learning goals for this lesson. So what are we going to be able to do by the end of the lesson? And then there's a repeat of the future ready competencies there for you. When we continue on, we start off with terminology. This is really important because we want to make sure that the learners are using that terminology. Katie, I don't know how many times have you heard students say, well, that thing on the screen, or I
Oh,
want to move
absolutely.
that. And
Or
so we want them using.
my favorite is you'll say, okay, go work on this sprite or go add a new sprite. And they're like, what's a sprite? Like
Oh,
what's
yeah.
that? Right. And they can't find it because in Scratch, they're called sprites, and you have to know that word to be able to work with them. So I think starting with terminology is so key and so helpful. So I'm so glad that they have this already built in there for you. So you don't have to like come up with it yourself. I mean, it's right there for you as the teacher or the lead of the club working with students.
Yeah. And that's why, like, you really want them to learn that terminology so they're using it. So for the first lesson, we have sprites, costumes. Then we go into motion blocks, which is what we use in Scratch coding and the Scratch grid, because that's important when we talk about X and Y coordinates. This is part of the reason why this program starts in grade 6 as well, because that's when we're getting into coordinates and how we use those. So it kind of connects into what they're working on. When we continue on, we get into looking at what does the Scratch interface look like. You might say, I'm new to Scratch, I don't know how to use it. That's okay. This is going to walk you through it, and it's going to show you what you need to know, and it's going to show your learners what they need to know. So here, if I go in, it's going to start with how do I get signed up for Scratch? Because you can have a Scratch account. There's different ways, whether you're a teacher or you are a learner. Because if you're a facilitator, you can actually create a classroom in Scratch, which is great because then you can control and look and see what the students are working on. I always like that in my classroom, especially with the younger students, because then I know that we're working through how to create accounts using, pseudonyms or stage names or usernames that are not giving away personal information. That just, puts in that digital literacy into students for privacy.
Absolutely. That's so great that they give you that extra support again built right in. And it's such a helpful thing. And Scratch is such a great tool for both teachers and students to use.
And these are links that you can click on that will open up into documents, which is great. But then there's also the video here that gives you a tour of Scratch if you're not familiar with it. And if you are familiar, you can say, okay, I don't need that. I'm just going to skip over it. So it's
Wonderful.
easy depending on what you need. This
Mhm.
part is great because I love going over this with students so that they know the different areas, because it's always good to know so that when you're giving instruction and you say, go to your sprite pane, they know where they're going. You
Mhm.
don't want them to think that, oh, well, I don't know where that is, and then they're lost, right?
Absolutely. Mhm.
So that vocabulary is really good, knowing the different areas in the interface. When we go on, we go into this is where we get into the meat of the lesson. So we go into how to begin a Scratch program, and then why is it important to include a backdrop and then sprite. So here you'll notice there are step-by-step instructions for students to follow along, but then there's also a video to help them. If they follow these instructions and say, you know what, I'm not quite sure, there's the video to watch.
I
So
love that
there's
extra
options.
support that it provides. That's so
Yeah.
helpful.
A lot of extra support to make sure that your learners are ready and they can follow along easily. If we continue, we go into the next one where we're adding motion. You might say, oh, well, I'm not too comfortable with that. Not a problem. It's going to explain for your learners. Here are the different ways you can have motion, and here's videos to show you how you can do that. So again, we have the instructions and we have the video, so you're meeting different learners' needs depending on what is needed.
Absolutely. That's so nice and helpful. And
Yeah.
you may have some experience in Scratch or may not. And what's great about this is if you know something, you can just support and not have to use these resources. If you don't, you have the supports built right in.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? Sometimes I will actually kind of pretend that I don't know or that I've forgotten, just so that students are using the resources so that they are kind of self-checking
That's a great
to,
idea.
because it's good for them to know that it's not always going to be my teachers that are going to give me that information. I
Right.
need to use the information that's available. And so this is great because there's so many different ways they can get that information. So here we have, again, step by step on adding motion,
Mhm.
and it goes through it. And then there's these things that are called HG hacks, which I love because these are their tips. They're
Ooh,
little tips or little extras to say, okay, try this. What if you change this? Just to get students thinking a little bit about what they're working on so that they're not just following those steps, but then they're making it their own.
ooh, I like that. A way to get creative.
Yes. So, and I love this. This is great. And then we get into more. So, again, we're going through the different steps in here to make sure that we know what we're doing and we have the videos. And there's multiple ways of doing different things. And here we've got another hack, how to delete your code, right? Sometimes we have code that we don't need. We have different ways of doing it. So, it's going to tell us how to do that, just in case you haven't figured that out.
Awesome.
So, what I do want to say is that all of this curriculum is created by educators,
That's awesome.
right? So, at Hackergal, these courses are designed by a curriculum manager and instructional designer, and they're both former teachers, which is great because they know how to target student audiences, right?
Mhm.
There and if you're looking at this and you're thinking, I don't know if I could use this or if this would be easy to follow, you can also get in contact with them. The curriculum department is there to support facilitators through phone calls or video calls, which is great. And now we have the added Logix is going to be there to support as well.
Mhm.
So much support available that you don't need to say, oh, well, I really don't know. I'm stuck. There's always someone to reach out to. So I'm going to speed through these because these are all the same types. But again, you will see that there's always the steps and the videos. What I'm not playing is you can also play this video so you can hear the sound of the text being read to you. So
Oh,
if you
that's
have a
helpful.
student that's, yeah, so the students that maybe are struggling with reading but want to use the text, they can get it read to them. So that's perfect. I'm going to continue in because now we come to close to the end. This is where we get to that power up. So we've gone through all the different parts and it's going to say, test it out. Look at some sample projects and see, is yours pretty similar, right? Try to share it. There's all these different options that you have to extend that learning and that students can do. And then it also checks it off as completed. You'll notice that on the educator site, you're able to see all of the lessons. So if I come here, I can see them all. As a learner, I would only have access to the first lesson until I get that check mark to say that it's complete. Then I can have access to the second one. So
Oh,
that is
awesome.
important. Yeah, it is very step by step. And this is the part I like when I go back into my first session, my first lesson. After the explore code, there's the glitch fix. This is the debugging because
Ooh.
debugging is so important.
And it can also be so challenging for some students.
Yeah. And, it kind of makes it a bit of a, oh, did I really learn how to do this? Let me check out my skill. Or maybe, did you solve it a different way? And this gets your learners discussing and trying to fix problems. And it's, again, not relying on the educator, right?
Mhm.
They're learning to problem solve and fix bugs because we all know in coding and technology, there's a lot of bugs all the time.
Well, and one small detail can like mess up the whole entire piece of code. So practicing debugging is such an essential skill in coding.
Yeah, definitely. So, and this I would do at the end of the whole session rather than in the
Okay,
beginning.
awesome. That makes sense.
And then you can go back and continue through your lessons.
Awesome. That is so nice. It's very comprehensive, very thoughtful in the way it's laid out. This is such a great, amazing resource for teachers and students.
Oh, yeah. So, we're now going to get into the Hackergal hackathon because I know some people were like, what is that hackathon? You mentioned at the beginning. You talked about it a bit in between. Let's figure out what that is. So, the Hackergal Hackathon, it is this huge nationwide event that girls and gender diverse learners across Canada from grades 6 to 9 participate, and they're challenged to code a project or a game or a story. And it's all based on a specific theme. And that theme is different every year. But this year, the theme, you're going to have to wait. Do you know what it is, Katie?
No, but I can't wait to find out what it is.
It's hacking the bias in AI, which is
Ooh,
very different.
I
So
love that.
this is great because they spend the whole day and learners don't know the theme until that morning.
Ooh.
So it is a secret until that morning because that is when they're doing the hackathon. They're spending that whole day on that topic.
Oh,
They
so
get to
awesome.
research. Yeah. So they're researching using their coding skills, they collaborate, work together, and showcase what they have learned, which is great.
That is
This
amazing.
year, yeah. So, like I said, 14th annual hackathon this year, and it is going to be on Hack the Bias in AI. It is running from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on May 1st, Eastern Time. So, it is in a specific time zone. But again, like I said, it is across Canada, which is amazing because it's nationwide. When we think about it, you have to think about like, is AI really building solutions for everyone? It is everywhere, and most people are using it, but it's always good to think critically about the technology and maybe think about building inclusive tools for the future. And so, this is what we want our learners to do. And they're going to do this alongside hundreds of other tech savvy girls and gender diverse learners, which is amazing. Katie, have you ever been a part of the hackathon?
No, I haven't, but I am so excited to check this out. I love that when facilitators sign up that they're going to get their onboarding and toolkit, and that it's also there's a gamification aspect to it. That is so fun and such an engaging thing to check out. I think that's going to be such a fun day of learning. We also have someone joining us, and they're asking if they're too old at the age of 25 to start learning to
Oh,
code. I will say personally,
no.
you're never too old to start learning to code. However, this program is specifically for students to work with their facilitator in their club that you're going to sign up for. That we again will kind of review how to do all of that coming up again at the end of our session today.
Yes. So the hackathon, I have to say, Katie, I have done several Hacker Gal hackathons now,
Oh, yeah?
and it's a full day event,
Hmm.
and it's hosted by your coding club. So coding club facilitators will host it. They could be at their school or wherever they're doing their coding. So we always host it at my school. We get a package that gives you information about how to set up the theme that's going to happen, how to unveil it to your learners, just to make it your own setting unique and make it work for you.
Awesome.
We made it a little bit fun, like we used to have, pizza parties in there at lunchtime, have some music going as their girls and gender diverse learners were working on the project, and it
Hmm.
became a fun day but focused on a mission, which was amazing.
That's
There
awesome.
is also, you get certificates at the end.
Ooh, fun.
Yes, you get certificates at the end to say that you've participated. And there's a live virtual coding club celebration on that day with Hackergal, so May 1st, that you
Okay,
can
I'm going to
hop
put it
on.
on my calendar.
Yeah. And it doesn't just stop there because there is also on the Saturday following that, which is Saturday, May 3rd, there is a virtual national pitch day event. So this is optional. It's from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and participants can share their project in a dragon's den type panel, right? So they can
Awesome.
go and they can share it. And it's great because you get others to look at your project, you get feedback. It's a different experience.
That is
And
so
then,
neat because you get access to like people reviewing your work that wouldn't normally be able to review your work.
yeah, it's something different. So you're not just
Mhm.
creating to use it at your school, but you can
Right.
present it outside.
Awesome.
There's also the judging of the coding projects. So participants can submit, again, this is optional, but they can submit their coding project to get judged and potentially win a prize, which is fun, of course. The deadline for
Yes.
this is May 5th. So the deadline for that, they have a few days to, if they need to polish it up, but then the deadline is the 5th of May t- to submit that. So be sure to mark this date on your calendar because you don't want to miss it.
Absolutely. That's so great to kind of take all of your work that you've worked on and done for the pitch and then submit it all to possibly win a prize. That's so cool.
Yeah. Now, you might be like, okay, this is a lot of information and I really want to do this, but I need help to get started. Guess what? At Logix, we are going to help with getting you started with Hackergal. So not only are we going to help, but we will also be running coding clubs in April that you can participate in. So you just have to get your learners together and we will teach for you. So it'll be a virtual lesson that you can get your learners involved in. Katie, can you tell us how we can sign up for that?
So I dropped the link in the chat, or you can also see it here on the screen. But you simply just go to that form and you fill it out. And once you do, someone from Logix will be in contact with you to set that up. And then not only are they going to help arrange that time for us to connect with you and your students, but they're also going to help you get signed up. Because if you remember earlier in the session, we talked about accessing the Hacker Girl Hub and how you have to sign up and it takes a little bit. Well, we're going to help you do that. And we're going to help you get all set up and ready to go so that when we do meet with you and your students, that everything is prepped and ready to go. So we really are helping walk you through the entire process. And we are doing this in the month of March because that's where we're going to prepare to then participate in the hackathon at the very beginning of May. So really, you want to get signed up right now, right away, so you can get that scheduled and get your students prepared. Because the other thing that I learned from Zara today is not only do you have to be signed up, but you have to complete that kind of that first course before you can participate. So you do have to have a little bit of time. So sign up with us. We will help get you through all of those steps so you and your students can participate in the hackathon.
Yeah, it's definitely good to have at least 4 weeks minimum, but 4 to 6 weeks of some type of coding club before the hackathon, just so that they can get familiar with what software you're thinking of using, how you want, and the program in general, right? So that you know they're going into the hackathon prepared, ready for success.
Absolutely. So, and we are here for you. We want to help you through all of this. You saw how amazing and helpful the tools and the resources are. Well, we're going to make it one step more helpful for you. So just sign up. The link is in the chat or also on the screen. And we're excited to start working with all of you.
There you
All
go.
right.
Thank
I'm
you
going to
so
drop
much.
some more links in the chat while Zara is kind of wrapping us up here.
Yes, there's so many more links, all to help you. So thank you for joining us. We do have Hacker Gal has an Instagram account that you can follow, which is at the Hacker Gals with an S at the end. You can also email Hacker Gal directly at hello@hackergal.org. Also, Logix Academy, please do fill out the Bitly feedback form for us, which is in the chat. And if you do need support and you say, you know what, I really wanted to fill out that form to get you to come in and do a coding club and I can't find it, feel free, just email support at events@logixacademy.com Anytime you have a question, also remember this is YouTube, so you can also rewind the play and get that link from the screen as well, okay?
Oh, this was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing about this amazing program and the amazing resources. I am so excited to dive more into this and to continue my learning. And I'm so excited that we also get to connect with more of you out there as well. So thank you, Zara, so much for sharing about this. I hope all of you are as excited as I am. And we're just going to have some fun and hope to see all of you joining Hackathon coming up in just, over a month.
Yes, hopefully.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. We hope you have a
Thank
wonderful rest of your
you.
day. Bye.
Bye.